Oh, awesome. Good. Woo, we're getting ready to get started. It's just 6 o'clock. We're going to give it just about a minute or two so we can get started on our disaster relief loan briefing. I'm so excited. IG, thank you for tuning in, as well as Facebook. And we'll be getting started in just a moment. So this, go ahead and hit the music. So if I can get a thumbs up, because I want to make sure that everyone can hear me. Is the sound okay in IG world? That is, oh good. Perfect. Hey, I hope the sound, my voice projects super loud. But if you are a small business owner or 1099 contractor, this is the live for you. So again, we're talking about the disaster relief stimulus program for small business owners and some 1099 contractors. So this is not the live for the stimulus that's going out to individuals that we keep hearing a whole lot about, right? We're going to get to the bottom of what are these disaster relief programs for small businesses, what is entailed, and let's get rid of a lot of the myths that are out there. So thank you for joining me. I'm Sweeney. I am a serial entrepreneur. I did decide to step out my house for just a second. I'm only 5 minutes down away in my office because, like many of you, many of us, we are small businesses who are at the start of the unexpected, right? So in the process of this, I just want you to know that I'm in your shoes. I've already applied for some of the disaster relief. But at the same time, instead of focusing on the disaster or the pandemic that we're in, I wanted to focus on just bringing light, because this is a period of resiliency for us as business owners. Because let's face it, how often do we get a chance to sit down and go back to the drawing board or revisit the business plan or re-up so that we can make our efforts even stronger? So just to give you a little bit of background, I've been a serial entrepreneur for a number of years, well over 2 decades. But I will tell you that this time last year, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. 3 weeks after my colorectal surgery, I was terminated from my position. And so this time last year, I was in a situation where I needed to think about what my next move was and become dedicated to what I wanted to do. And ironically, here we go, 12 months later, and we're in a space where we have an opportunity to revisit and reconnect with where we are as business owners. So this whole presentation is all built from a positive, very informative, educational perspective, right? So let's get to the bottom of it. I actually have an outline, and this outline is going to give us the top 5 facts, top 5 things we need to know. So, 1, who qualifies? 2, the truth about the application process. 3, what's the deal on this $10,000 advance from the CARES Act? 4, what is the Paycheck Protection Program and who qualifies? And 5, how do I apply for the Paycheck Protection Program? All right, so let's dig in. Thank you. I'll first say I received quite a few emails, so thank you to those that sent the emails to info@anfw.us. I'm going to cover all of the questions that were sent to me in the email format. So what I would encourage you to do, we're only going to spend 30 minutes in this. Sunday is a family time, so I appreciate you all hanging out. I promise all the big questions will be answered in less than 30 minutes. So however you're taking notes, I would encourage you to take the notes. And I can also promise you that if you're in the process of applying, as soon as this briefing ends, you'll probably go to the SBA.gov site and apply. or you'll go to the SBA.gov site, pull some more additional information so you can decide if either of these programs are good for you. So what are we talking about today? Just so that you make sure you are in the right room. 2 loans, the EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Loan Program. And secondly, the Paycheck Protection Program. So we're going to talk about those 2 loans. So who qualify? Any small business with 500 employees or less. Any small business with 500 employees or less, and some sole proprietors or 1099 contractors. So why do I emphasize small businesses with 500 employees or less? Just to give you all a scope or the magnitude of how many businesses are applying for this relief. A lot of businesses, including yours, including mine, meet the first qualification, and that is that we are small businesses with less than 500 employees. As a matter of fact, if you have 1 employee, you qualify. If you are your only employee, you qualify. If you are a 1099, which means you do not have a business entity, however, you are contracted, you have proof of a 1099, you qualify. So just know there are a ton of businesses qualifying and applying for these loans. And I'll talk a little bit why we want to keep that in mind in the midst of being patient in this process. So second, the truth about the application process. So as you know, some of you may have already been online. You've gone to the SBA. You've heard that the site crashed. Some of you questioned whether or not your information was secure, right? Well, 1, your information is secure. And yes, it is not uncommon that when one website is flooded with a lot of traffic, we're going to experience a couple of disconnects, right? But with patience, I can tell you I had no issues whatsoever with mine. You refresh and you start over. So let's dig into the application process. When the Economic Injury Disaster Loan first rolled out, it was a big process, right? When you click that button, it said this application can take 1 to 2 hours to complete. And some of you sat there and spent more than 2 hours to complete it. And some of you said, nah, I'll wait on this. This is way too much, right? Well, if you were amongst those ones that filled out that application that took an hour to 2 hours and you uploaded all those documents, great, that's commendable. But you are probably amongst the group of applicants that received an email from the SBA encouraging you to go back to that SBA.gov and fill out the streamlined application process. So let me say it again. If you filled it out when it took an hour to 2 hours to complete, you may have received an email from the SBA encouraging you to go back and fill out the streamlined application. All right? So let's talk about this streamlined application for those of you that ran away and you're still thinking about it. Well, the good news about the streamlined application is that it takes 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, depending on you personally. It truly is streamlined. It is fast if you know all of your business information. And what I mean by all of your business information, I'm referring to your EIN number, being able to identify the type of business you have. And let's talk about cost of goods for a moment. I received quite a few calls from businesses last week on a project that I'm working on. And I was surprised at how many businesses asked me, what is their cost of goods? How do I calculate my cost of goods? You should know your cost of goods, right? So in the streamlined application process, at this time, you're not submitting any documents. I repeat, at this time, you are not submitting any documents. You are simply filling out information. Now, once you fill out this information, please know your cost of goods. This is really, really important. Remember, you are applying for monies from a loaner, a lending institution, right? They want to know how much it costs for you to operate your business. Only you know that. When you fill out the streamlined application, there will be an application confirmation number. Write it down, screenshot the computer, take a picture. They are not sending email confirmations right away, okay? They are not sending email confirmations right away. Jot down your application confirmation number. You will need that. In about a week or two, you'll receive a follow-up email requesting your documents. Now, why is this so important? We're going to talk about the truth about the application process. Well, there are a lot of businesses who are applying, and that is a good thing. The turnaround time for processing applications is actually 3 to 4 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks, but they're working really hard to get these applications processed. But realistically, we're talking 3 to 4 weeks. And I'll add a disclaimer on that in just a minute. Well, I'll add an addendum to that in just a second. So knowing that this could take 3 to 4 weeks for the application to process, I'm running into a lot of businesses that are a bit frantic, running into quite a few businesses that are anxious, of course, because it is a period of uncertainty, and there are a lot of business owners, they take care of their families with their business revenue, and we're at a standstill right now. But if we recognize that this process is going to take 3 to 4 weeks, then we'll start to work on what is our contingency plan in a process while we wait for these applications to be fully processed, and hopefully, if you qualify, they're approved. So what do we do in the meantime? We work on our plan. I'm thankful Mr. Sweeney is my stimulus package, at least for right now, right? So let's pull on that family support. A lot of us have it. Do what you can right now to get through it, and just understand that the relief is coming if you qualify, but there's a process to it. So let's chat for a minute about this $10,000 advance. We're seeing a lot about the $10,000 advance, right? Well, what's interesting about this $10,000 advance is that's all we're seeing. But when you read the fine print, the advance is up to $10,000. All right? It is up to $10,000. So when we talk about an advance, let's be realistic. An advance of what? An advance of your economic injury disaster loan. So first, you have to be approved for the loan. First is the approval process. This $10,000 advance, yes, on the SBA site, it says it can be given to you within a 2 to 3 day window, right? But it also says that it is made available within 2 to 3 days upon successful application completion, right? So it's not misleading. It is available in 2 to 3 days after successful application completion. Successful application completion means that your application is approved and they have approved you for a certain amount of funds. Keep in mind, as you go through the application, none of us are requesting what we need. There's nowhere on the application for us to say, I need $50,000 from this program. I need $250,000 from this program, right? The SBA, based on your information, is going to determine how much money your business qualifies for. Based on that qualification, if you've opted in for the advance funds, they will advance you up to $10,000 of your approved funds. So let's just use this as an example. All right, Events Are Us. Cicely, you just got approved for $50,000, right? Up to $10,000 of that $50,000 will be advanced to Cicely in a 2 to 3 day window. So that brings me to another part we want to bring up. In the streamlined application, yes, they are requesting your bank account information. It is not a fraud. It is not your privacy is protected. If on the screen you see that they are asking for your bank account's routing number and account number, it is a part of the process. Because if you have opted for those advance funds in that 2 to 3 day window upon approval, that's how they're going to get it to you. So that brings me to another point on the advance of the loan. Yes, those funds are forgiven. Those funds do not have to be repaid. So the advance that you get on your approved amount does not have to be repaid. However, the balance of your disaster relief loan does. Now, the good news about the disaster relief, the economic injury disaster loan, is that the interest rate is low. It's 3.75% for businesses. It's 2.75% for nonprofits. It is going to be deferred for 6 months. So 6 months, you will not have to make payments. However, the interest will accrue, right? So keep that in mind. The interest is going to accrue, but you have a 6-month window where those payments are deferred. All right, so that's the base, that's the business on the disaster relief loan. And that $10,000 advance, that is up to $10,000. The amount is determined by the SBA. And when they determine that amount does not have to be repaid. So just wanted to wrap that up. All right, so I noticed that there's someone just want to pop in real quick. What are these documents going to be? Well, on the SBA site, there's a list of ineligibility, just sba.gov, do the search bar, eligibility requirements. It is a document that's going to come up. Most importantly, they want your tax return. They want to see your profit loss statement. They're going to ask for the proof of the economic injury, and they're going to need to see your financials, even your personal financials. Doesn't matter if you're a corporation like myself, they're still asking for the person who is asking for the funds, our personal financials. So that is what they're going to request from you a week to 2 weeks after you submit the streamlined application. All right, so and for a list of exactly what you'll need, sba.gov, go to the search bar, go to the search, type in eligibility requirements, and that list will come up. So that's the economic disaster loan, injury loan. Let's talk about this paycheck protection. Woo! How many of you, and you can give me a thumbs up or a wave, how many of you are interested in the Paycheck Protection Program? Now, the Paycheck Protection Program, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get a little deep with this because we just left off one loan program that many of you qualify for. And I'm going to flip it to the Paycheck Protection Program that many of us do qualify for. And we're going to talk about this forgiveness in this Paycheck Protection Program. All right, so real quick, what is Paycheck Protection? It is exactly what it says. These are funds. This is a loan program that is designed for you as a business owner to be able to continue to pay your employees, even if that employee is only you as a 1099, right? So this Paycheck Protection is designed to support up to 8 weeks of pay. Might not seem like a long time, but follow me on this because we want to talk about why it's so important to use the Paycheck Protection loan for your payroll expenses, for your paycheck, because there is an awesome piece to this loan that can be forgiven pending what you use the loan for, right? So the Paycheck Protection Program covers small businesses with 500 employees or less. It covers also sole proprietors. It covers those with a 1099. The key to the Paycheck Protection is that you have to have paid employees you are paying. If you use the Paycheck Protection Program, the funds, the loan, to cover the payroll expenses, then a percentage of that paycheck protection can be forgiven, which means you will not have to pay it back. So how does the paycheck protection work? Well, one, you of course are going to have to show proof, if you are approved with the Paycheck Protection Program, that you use those funds specifically for payroll expenses. The Paycheck Protection loan is not automatically forgiven. You have to apply for the forgiveness. And you have to apply for this forgiveness before June 30th, 2020. So keep in mind, if you use it for paycheck payroll expenses with proof, you must request the forgiveness. So let's run down this Paycheck Protection Program. So the Paycheck Protection Program is a low interest rate loan. Remember, everything they're giving you is a loan with a 1% interest rate. If you request forgiveness, then now you are in a position where the funds you use for payroll expenses can be forgiven. So how do you apply for this paycheck protection? All right, so this is different for people. The Paycheck Protection Program is not available for application on the SBA site. We have to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program with an SBA 7A approved lender. So this is where you get to select the lender of your choice. So for some of us, maybe who you already bank with, who you've established a banking relationship with. I know Wells Fargo is one of the lenders. You'll fill out the Paycheck Protection Program loan. On the SBA site, there's a PDF document. Click Paycheck Protection. The PDF document is there. Simply download it and fill it out and give it to your lender. Now, what if your lender is not a participant? Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, we are going back to the SBA.gov site, and under the Paycheck Protection Program, you will find a list of 7A lenders. There's a list of over 100 active lenders. But let's keep this in mind. Although a lender may be an approved lender of the SBA, you still have to confirm that that lender is participating in the Paycheck Protection Program. Be assured that you check first. And what I will say is that depending on some of the businesses that I spoke to earlier this week, do not get discouraged in this process if you run across approved lenders who are not yet accepting applications. Do not get discouraged. There is a list of over 100 lenders. Pick your top 5, get on a phone, get online, and find out who is accepting it and be ready with your package. So with the Paycheck Protection Program, again, I'll just reiterate this. If you are a 1099 contractor, you can apply. If you're a sole proprietor, you can apply. If you are a small business owner with 500 employees or less, if you are your only employee, you can apply, right? So again, with Paycheck Protection, just want to run it down. It's a low interest loan, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about a 1% loan with the ability to have that loan forgiven. So let me add another disclaimer to this, because we talked about 2 loan programs, right? The EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, Paycheck Protection Loan. So then the question becomes, all right, Nick Sweeney, can I apply for both? Yes, you can. You can apply for both. But here is the reality of applying for 2 different loans. do your research, look into the terms. The Paycheck Protection Program, in order for it to be forgiven, that your economic injury disaster loan cannot cover the same expenses. So let me say that again. If you qualify for both loans, in order for your paycheck protection loan to be forgiven, you want to use those funds exclusively for the paycheck expenses in order for it to be forgiven. There's no double dipping with the disaster loan and the paycheck protection. You stand a better chance of having some of that paycheck protection loan forgiven if those funds are used exclusively for that person. And then you use your economic injury disaster loan for other expenses like your operating expenses and so forth, right? All right, great. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Well, again, on the SBA.gov site, please, if you are interested, do your research, do a little more reading, make sure it's right for you. Take advantage of this time we have as business owners to go back and actually look at the money. Look at your financials. If somebody asked you right now, what are the cost of goods for your business? Can you answer that question? If you're unable to map out exactly how much it costs for you to run your business, this is a great time for you to go back and revisit that business plan, because your profit and loss statements and your financial statements are a part of the process. Again, the streamlined application comes with an application confirmation number at the end. You will not receive an email from the SBA at the moment you hit submit saying thank you for applying. They're going to send a follow-up email a week to 2 weeks later after you've submitted your application. So hold on to that application confirmation number. We are applying for a loan, and I heard it in my inbox over and over again about credit, my credit, my credit. Well, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, we are applying for credit, right? But do not let that discourage you from applying for these programs. Let them tell you no. Don't decide on your own if this is something you're interested in pursuing. Just go for it, right? And then I want to just go back up to the application process. Again, be patient. Several thousands of businesses are applying for these programs. If you're having issues with the website, be a little patient, refresh, start that all over, because remember, the streamlined application will not even take you 20 minutes, but you want to know your numbers. So that's all I have on both of these loan programs. Remember, it's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. That's the loan that, if you're interested in the advance of funds, that is the application that you'll fill out. And you'll request that advance on that streamlined application that takes less than 20 minutes, right? But it is a 3 to 4 week processing period for that particular loan. They're moving along. They're trying to pick up the pace, but there are a lot of businesses that are applying. For the Paycheck Protection Program, remember, you're simply downloading the Paycheck Protection application from SBA.gov, and you are selecting an SBA approved lender to provide that to. Right? So that's all I have. We've taken out all those myths. The up to $10,000 advance does not have to be repaid, but that amount is determined by the SBA. Your loan amount in each circumstance is determined by the SBA. So for those of you that may need additional questions, have additional questions, or you're not quite sure, or maybe you joined us a little late, let me do a time check real quick. We are right at the 6:30, and I promised I would give you just enough information to encourage you, motivate you, business owners. We are proud of you, proud of each other. It's a time of resiliency. It is not a time of panic. You got this. And if anything, the biggest piece that's going to come out of this is to see just how resilient you are, and knowing that this is a period of opportunity for us to revisit our passion, our purpose, and those that we serve. So let's be sure to connect with one another. Let's stay focused. This will not be the end all be all, right? It's just another one of those temporary setbacks that are designed to get us to re-engage and do what we know we need to be doing. And that's handling our business, getting those numbers right, following that business plan, and thinking about what's the next innovative big thing we're about to bring. So again, I'll make sure that I jot down my email address. I am constantly working with businesses for the next couple of weeks to alleviate some of that stress, and I want to help you out as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email at info@anfw.us, and I'll make sure to include that in the comments. Thanks for joining me. It's Nick Sweeney. I enjoyed you all. I appreciate you. Virtual hugs. Make it an awesome Sunday. See you later. Woo. Thank you.